The hum of the neon sign outside the gas station buzzed like a tired bee, flickering every few seconds above the faded letters. Carter's, Fuel and Mart. The rain had started about an hour ago, heavy and cold, slapping against the windows in restless rhythm. Malik Carter leaned behind the counter, tapping his pen against the register, while the old radio whispered low jazz in the corner. It was another slow night in rural Georgia. Nothing but the hum of the coolers and the occasional hiss of passing air cars on the highway. He glanced at the clock. 1:12 a.m. The hardest hour, too late for travelers, too early for the early risers. Malik adjusted his black hoodie and sighed. Nights like this stretched forever. He thought about the songs he'd been writing, half-finished melodies sitting in his tablet, waiting for the day he'd save enough to buy studio time. Music was the only thing that still made sense to him in a world that kept spinning faster and colder every year. The storm outside grew louder. The gas pumps beeped faintly, their screens reflecting streaks of lightning. Malik stared at the reflection of his own face in the glass. Dark eyes, tired but sharp. He'd been working here 3 years, ever since the spaceport cut jobs down in Atlanta. His mum said he was wasting potential. He said he was surviving. Sometimes that had to be enough. The bell above the door jingled suddenly. Malik straightened up, expecting some trucker seeking shelter, but no one came in. The door creaked slightly in the wind, opened just a crack. "Hello?" he called, stepping around the counter. Only the rain answered, beating against the asphalt. Then, faintly, he saw movement near the pumps. Something tall, fragile-looking, like a silhouette made of smoke and light. He froze. The figure staggered forward, half collapsing as it reached the doorway. Malik rushed to hold the door open. "Hey, you okay?" he said. What stumbled inside didn't look like any person he'd ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly, as if the rain itself glowed when it touched her. Long braids clung to her shoulders, each strand reflecting traces of pale blue light. Her clothes were torn and soaked, some kind of fabric that shifted colors with every breath. She was trembling. Not from fear, something deeper, like her body wasn't built for this kind of weather. Malik instinctively grabbed a towel from the counter. "Here," he said, offering it. She stared at him with eyes that changed hue, amber to violet to silver, each shift carrying something like emotion, though he couldn't tell which. He tried again, softer this time. "You cold?" "Sit down, I'll get you something hot." Her voice came out low and broken, the words distorted by an accent that didn't belong to any region of Earth. "Hot?" "Yeah," he said, walking to the coffee pot. "Black? 2 sugars. Trust me, it helps." He poured a cup, steam rising into the dim light, and handed it to her. She hesitated, studying it like a sacred object. Then carefully she took it in both hands and drank. The way she shuddered, it wasn't just the heat, it was like warmth itself was new to her. When she finished, her gaze fixed on him again. Her pupils dilated, her voice barely a whisper. "That means you're mine now." Malik blinked. "Excuse me?" She didn't answer, just stared, unblinking, the silver in her eyes flaring faintly before fading. Malik laughed nervously. "All right, sure. Guess that's how y'all do it where you're from." He turned to wipe the counter, trying to shake the unease settling in his stomach. But her words lingered. The hum of the lights felt heavier now. Somewhere outside, thunder rolled like a warning. He looked at her again. She sat motionless, steam rising from the empty cup, her eyes distant, as if listening to something beyond this world. Malik didn't know it yet, but that single act of kindness, offering a cup of coffee on a stormy night, had just rewritten the story of his life. If you enjoyed this beginning, don't forget to subscribe and stay for what comes next, because tonight's storm is only getting started. The alien woman sat across from Malik at the tiny corner table, her long fingers wrapped around the paper cup as though it might vanish. The storm outside hadn't let up, thunder rolling like distant drums. The fluorescent light above them flickered, making her skin glow in pulses of soft silver. Malik leaned against the counter, arms folded, trying to pretend this was normal. "So," he said finally, "you got a name? Or do I just call you Ma'am from Mars?" She blinked slowly, her head tilting like she was translating his words through another layer of thought. Mars, she repeated, tasting the word. No, I am Karenai. Karenai, he echoed, careful not to butcher the pronunciation. All right then, Karenai. You from around here? Her expression didn't change. She stared at the rain sliding down the glass, her voice soft. I am far from home. Malik chuckled under his breath. Ain't we all? For a moment, neither of them spoke. The world outside was a blur of grey and lightning. Inside, the smell of coffee and engine oil mixed with the quiet hum of the cooler. Malik could hear her breathing, slow, deliberate, like she was teaching her body how to be alive again. You said something before, he said, about me being yours now. What was that about? Karenai turned to face him. Her eyes shifted color again, violet fading to deep gold. Among my people, to accept warmth from another is sacred. You shared energy with me. That means our paths are bound. Malik raised an eyebrow. Bound? Like, how bound we talking? 'Cause I just gave you coffee, not a wedding ring. Her expression didn't move, but her eyes softened. You offered what was freely yours. That act cannot be undone. He tried to laugh, but it came out thin. Lady, I think you might be misunderstanding. This is just Georgia hospitality. I do not misunderstand, she replied. Her tone was calm but carried something beneath it, a weight he couldn't name. You showed kindness. That has consequences. Malik looked away, running a hand over his beard. Yeah, I've heard that before. He checked the door again. The rain made it hard to see past the pumps. Every few seconds the storm flashed, lighting up the wet asphalt. No cars, no movement. Just darkness swallowing the road. Karenai's voice broke the silence. You are not afraid. Of you? Malik shrugged. I've seen worse come through here. Drunks, thieves, preachers trying to save my soul. You just look cold and lost. I am both. She touched her chest lightly, where the faint glow under her skin pulsed brighter. This world hurts. Her words hit him harder than he expected. Malik felt a tug of something, pity, curiosity, maybe both. He poured her another cup of coffee without asking. She accepted it with both hands again, reverently. Outside, a gust of wind howled through the gas station sign, making it creak. Malik's gaze followed the noise, unease crawling up his spine. Storms getting meaner, he muttered. You got somewhere to go after this? Karenai hesitated. If I say yes, it would not be truth. So that's a no. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Look, I don't know what you're mixed up in, but this ain't exactly the safest part of the county for strangers. I know, she said quietly. I came here because I had no choice. Something in her tone stopped him from asking more. Malik studied her again, the way she sat too still, the faint tremor in her hands, the strange aura that made the air hum when she moved. Whoever she wasn't lying. All right, he said finally. You can stay till the rain lets up. After that, we'll figure something out. Karenai looked up sharply, her eyes glowing faintly again. You mean that? Yeah, Malik said. I mean it. The lights flickered once more, the hum of the neon sign stuttering outside. In that brief blackout, Malik thought he saw another flash, something metallic reflecting from the woods beyond the pumps. When the light steadied again, Karenai's gaze was already fixed on the darkness outside. They found me, she whispered. Malik froze, his hand still resting on the counter. The way Karenai said it, calm, certain, sent a chill through him that had nothing to do with the storm outside. They found you? He repeated. Who's they? Karenai didn't answer immediately. Her eyes were locked on the dark stretch beyond the gas pumps, scanning the trees as if she could see through the rain. The lights flickered again, followed by the low hum of something electrical in the distance. Malik strained to listen. The wind carried an odd rhythm, not thunder, not engines, something else. They follow the pulse of my body, she whispered. Even the storm cannot hide it for long. Malik moved closer, lowering his voice. You mean they're tracking you? Like with tech? Her gaze flicked to him. Not technology, biology. She placed her hand against her chest, and for a moment the light beneath her skin brightened. It is my energy. I cannot stop it. They built it into me. Built it? Malik repeated. You're saying somebody made you? Karenai's lips tightened. No, I was born, but then they changed what I was. The words hung heavy between them. Malik didn't know what to say. He'd seen documentaries about alien refugees before, about human labs, about experiments done for protection, but seeing one of those stories sitting across from him, shivering and scared, made it too real. All right, he said after a long silence. We'll figure something out. Maybe cut whatever signal there. He stopped when her hand caught his wrist. The contact sent a sharp pulse through his arm, like static but deeper, vibrating through his bones. Malik gasped, pulling back on instinct. Karenai's eyes flared gold. I told you, she said softly. We are bound. When you gave me warmth, you gave part of yourself. It connects us. That is how my kind survives. He rubbed his wrist, staring at her. Lady, I didn't sign up for no psychic Wi-Fi connection. I just gave you coffee. Her expression softened at his sarcasm, a faint echo of a smile ghosting across her lips. Coffee, she repeated, almost tasting the word. It was bitter, but it made me feel alive. Malik exhaled, trying to ease the tension creeping up his shoulders. Yeah, that's caffeine for you. He glanced toward the window again, the rain still coming down in sheets, no movement, no shapes. But something deep in his gut told him this quiet wouldn't last. So, he said carefully, what happens if they find you? What do they want? Her voice dropped to a whisper. To take me back. And what happens then? Karenai looked away. I do not know. No one who is taken returns. Malik cursed under his breath. Damn. He rubbed his temples, thinking, okay, look, I don't know who you ticked off or what kind of tech you got in you, but you can't stay here if they're tracking you. Maybe we can... The low hum outside grew louder, a vibration that made the glass door tremble. Karenai's breath hitched. Malik leaned toward the window, squinting through the rain. Two faint lights blinked in the distance, steady, mechanical, moving slow. Not headlights, not from any car he'd ever seen. They are close, Karenai murmured. You must choose now. Choose what? Malik asked, his voice rising. To stand with me, she said, or to remain safe. Safe? He laughed, though his heart was hammering. Ain't never been safe a day in my life. For a moment Karenai just stared at him. Then she nodded, a quiet understanding passing between them. The faint glow beneath her skin steadied. Then our fates are already joined. Malik swallowed hard, unsure if he liked the sound of that. Guess I better lock the doors then. As he turned the key in the door, lightning flashed across the parking lot. For a split second he saw them, two figures in dark coats standing perfectly still in the rain. Karenai's voice was a whisper behind him, almost a prayer. They are here. The knock came soft at first, almost polite, just 3 taps against the glass. Malik froze mid-step. Karenai stood behind him, silent, her strange golden eyes reflecting the light like molten metal. The rain hissed louder, masking everything except the steady hum of the air unit. Then the knock came again, sharper this time. Malik swallowed hard and tried to sound casual. "Store's closed," he called out, but his voice cracked halfway through. From the other side of the glass, a flashlight beam cut through the darkness. A tall man in a black coat leaned close to the door, showing a badge that shimmered with government insignia. "Federal Security Division," the man said, his tone calm but firm. "We're looking for someone. May we come in?" Malik hesitated. He glanced back at Karenai. She shook her head once, slow and deliberate. The glow beneath her skin dimmed until it almost vanished. "Sir?" the agent called again. Malik's hands were slick with sweat. He forced a smile that didn't feel real and unlocked the door halfway. Yeah, sure. Just caught me off guard." Two figures stepped inside. The man was tall, pale, with a military buzz cut and an expression carved from stone. The woman beside him was shorter, her dark hair pulled tight, her coat beaded with rain. Both wore the same badge on their chests, FSD. "Apologies for the late visit," the man said. "We're tracking a fugitive in the area, possibly non-human." "You work alone here?" "Mostly," Malik replied, keeping his voice steady. "Just me and the vending machines." The woman's gaze swept the store, aisles, restrooms, even the flickering security cameras. "You've seen anyone unusual tonight?" she asked. Malik shrugged. "Depends what you call unusual. Couple of travelers passed by before the storm, that's about it." The man studied him. "Mind if we check your footage?" Malik's heart dropped. The cameras. He'd forgotten about them. He tried to play it cool. They've been glitchy since last week. Power surges and all that." The woman crouched near the counter, inspecting the small console. "Seems operational to me." Before Malik could respond, Karanai moved. Silent as breath, she slipped behind the supply shelves near the back. Malik caught a glimpse of her disappearing into shadow. He forced himself not to look that way again. "So what's this fugitive supposed to look like?" he asked, leaning casually on the counter. The man pulled a small projector from his coat. A flickering hologram appeared between them. Karanai's face, colder, more alien, her features sharper. Even distorted by static, it was unmistakable. Malik forced a frown. "That her? Damn, she looks like something out of them Hollow movies." "She's dangerous," the woman said. "If you see her, don't engage. She's not like us." "Yeah, I'll keep that in mind." He managed a laugh. "What'd she do, steal a spaceship or something?" Neither agent smiled. The man stepped closer. "If you come into contact, report immediately. Understand?" Malik nodded, throat tight. "Loud and clear." The agents exchanged a glance, then turned toward the door. The woman paused, scanning the shelves one last time before following her partner out. When the door finally shut behind them, Malik stood frozen, counting the seconds until their footsteps faded into the rain. Only then did he exhale. "You can come out now," he whispered. Karanai emerged slowly, her expression unreadable. "You lied for me." Malik rubbed his temples. "Yeah, and I'm still trying to figure out why." "Because your spirit knows what is right," she said simply. He let out a shaky laugh. "Nah, it's probably just stupidity." Karanai stepped closer, her voice low. "Those people are not what they say. They are not agents of your government." Malik frowned. "Then who the hell are they?" Her answer came like a breath of wind. "Hunters." The word hung in the air, cold and final. Malik stared at her, the storm echoing his pulse. Whatever he'd just gotten himself into, it was far bigger than a night shift and a cup of coffee. Malik's heart hadn't stopped racing since the agents left. Even after the hum of their hovercraft disappeared into the storm, his body stayed tense, waiting for the next knock, the next lie he'd have to tell. Karanai stood near the window, watching the streaks of lightning dance across the sky. The faint glow beneath her skin pulsed in rhythm with each flash. "You got a way of attracting trouble," Malik said, trying to sound calm, though his hands still shook. "Those folks didn't look like they were out for a friendly chat." "They are not," Karanai replied quietly. "They work for the ones who took me." Malik frowned. "Took you? Like, locked you up?" She nodded once. "They studied us. They said it was for peace, but peace should not require cages." Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with something heavier. Grief, maybe. Malik didn't know what to say. He looked around the store, the flickering lights, the leaking ceiling tile, the half-empty snack shelves. "Yeah, sounds like something humans would do." Karanai turned to him. "You are not like them," he scoffed. "Trust me, you ain't been around long enough to make that call." Outside, thunder rolled again, closer this time. Malik glanced at the window and cursed under his breath. Two faint beams of white light were cutting through the trees down the road, slow, deliberate, sweeping the area. "They're coming back," he said. Karanai's glow dimmed completely. "Then we must leave." "Leave?" Malik blinked. In what, my old Chevy hover truck? That thing barely makes it to town. She stepped toward him. It will be enough. Malik hesitated, glancing around the gas station. The job he hated. The life that never seemed to move forward. Maybe this was the sign he'd been waiting for, or maybe it was the dumbest thing he'd ever do. Either way, he grabbed his jacket and the truck keys. All right, he said. But if that thing falls apart mid-air, you're the one pushing. Karenai tilted her head, confused but trusting. Push? Never mind, he muttered. They slipped out the back door, rain soaking through Malik's hoodie instantly. The hover truck sat half submerged in puddles, its dented body humming faintly. Malik climbed in, wiping water off the dashboard. Karenai hesitated before getting in the passenger seat, eyeing the cracked leather and dangling wires. This is safe, she asked. Safe's a relative term, Malik said, hitting the ignition. The engine coughed, then roared to life with a metallic growl. Hold on. The truck lifted a few feet off the ground, thrusters sputtering. Malik guided it onto the service road, just as the white beams turned toward the gas station. Through the rear mirror, he saw two dark vehicles descending silently, their lights slicing through the rain like knives. They're scanning, Karenai said, her voice tight. They will detect us soon. Not if I floor it, Malik muttered, gripping the wheel. The truck lurched forward, cutting through the storm. The windshield blurred with water and static as Malik flipped on the deflector wipers. You got any tricks to hide us? Some alien invisibility thing? Karenai closed her eyes, her breathing steady. I can cloak our energy, but only for moments. It will drain me. Do it, Malik said. We just need a head start. A soft hum filled the cabin, the air thickening with static. The lights from the pursuers flickered and vanished behind a curtain of distorted rain. Malik felt a sudden warmth spreading through the steering wheel. Through him. What's happening? He asked. Our bond, Karenai whispered. It strengthens when we act together. Malik didn't know what that meant, but he wasn't about to question a miracle. He pushed the throttle, the hover truck climbing higher as they left the gas station behind. For a moment, the road stretched empty ahead. No lights, no sound but the storm. Then Karenai gasped, clutching her chest. The glow beneath her skin dimmed almost to nothing. Hey, Malik said, stay with me. She opened her eyes weakly. I have hidden us, but they will come again. Malik stared out into the endless rain, the reflection of the storm shimmering on his windshield. Then we'll keep moving. Karenai looked at him, something like hope flickering in her dimming eyes. You do not run from fear. You drive through it. Malik cracked a small smile. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. But as the highway stretched ahead and the lights of the town disappeared behind them, a quiet truth sank in. There was no going back now. By the time the storm began to fade, Malik's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The hover truck rattled with every gust of wind, the engine humming like it was running on prayer instead of fuel. Karenai sat motionless beside him, her head tilted toward the window, eyes dim but still alert. The silence between them carried more weight than the thunder ever had. You holding up? Malik asked, glancing her way. I am surviving, she said, her voice faint. The cloak is gone. I have no more strength to hide us. That's fine, Malik replied. Ain't nobody gonna find us out here anyway. He tried to sound confident, but his stomach twisted every time he checked the rearview mirror. The empty highway stretched behind them like a black river. After another 10 minutes, the glow of a lone gaslight flickered in the distance. Malik exhaled in relief. We're almost there. Karenai turned to him. Where? My cousin's place, he said. Tasha. She's a mechanic, knows how to fix anything, machines, engines, bad ideas. Maybe she can figure something out for you. Karenai studied him, confusion mixing with curiosity. You risk much for me. Yeah, well, Malik said, trying to smile. I've always had bad taste in company. When they reached the edge of a small town, Malik guided the truck down a dirt road lined with trees. The air smelled of wet soil and old pine. Finally, a faint orange light glowed through the branches, a workshop built from repurposed metal and neon scraps. Music drifted through the open door, soft jazz laced with electric beats. Malik parked out front and killed the engine. "All right, let me do the talking first." "She doesn't really do surprises." Before Karenai could answer, a woman's voice rang out from inside. "Malik Carter, if that's your busted-ass truck again, I swear—" Tasha stepped into the doorway, wiping grease from her hands. She was tall, with deep brown skin that gleamed under the warm light and eyes sharp enough to cut glass. Her hair was tied up in copper coils that shimmered faintly, picking up the rhythm of the music. She froze when she saw Karenai. "And what in the hell is that?" Malik held up his hands. "Okay, I can explain. You better," Tasha snapped. "Last time you showed up this late, you owed me money. Now you bring me some glow-in-the-dark lady? Nah." Karenai stepped forward, her tone calm. "I mean no harm, I seek safety." Tasha blinked, then looked back at Malik. "You pick up strays now?" Malik sighed. "She's not a stray. Look, it's complicated. I'll fill you in, but right now, we just need a place to lay low." Tasha crossed her arms, weighing them both. "You mix in with government trouble again." "Something like that." For a long moment, the only sound was the jazz record crackling softly in the background. Then Tasha shook her head. "Damn, Malik, you really know how to pick a mess." She stepped aside. "Fine. Bring her in before somebody sees. And wipe your feet, don't track all that mud in here." Inside, the workshop was cluttered but alive. Walls lined with floating engine parts, glowing circuit panels, and shelves of old vinyl records. Karenai's eyes widened, tracing every detail. "This place sings," she murmured. Tasha arched an eyebrow. "She talks like poetry, huh? Must be alien for sure." Malik dropped into a worn chair, exhausted. "Can you just help us, Tash?" Tasha sighed but softened. "What you need?" "Some way to jam a tracker, hide her signal." Tasha looked at Karenai again, then at Malik. "You don't even know what you're protecting, do you?" Malik didn't answer. He didn't have to. Tasha turned toward her workbench. "All right, I'll see what I can do. But understand this. Helping her ain't just kindness." She met his eyes. "It's rebellion." Malik swallowed hard. "Guess I've been rebelling my whole life." Tasha smirked. "Then welcome to the family business." Outside, the storm had passed, but in the distance, thunder still echoed like a promise. The workshop had gone quiet except for the low hum of the power coils on Tasha's workbench. Sparks flashed as she adjusted a scanner, muttering to herself. Malik sat on an overturned crate, exhaustion dragging down his shoulders. Karenai stood near the corner, her glow faint but steady now. The room smelled of oil, ozone, and something warm. Jazz still whispering from the record player. Tasha adjusted her goggles. "All right," she said. "If I'm reading this right, your friend's got energy running through her like a live reactor. That's why they can track her. She's basically a walk-in beacon." Karenai looked uneasy. "I cannot change what I am." "No one's asking you to," Tasha replied, softer now. "But if we can reroute some of that energy, mask the signal a little, maybe they'll stop sniffing around." Malik frowned. "You sure it's safe?" Tasha gave him a look. "When have I ever done safe?" He smirked despite himself. "Fair point." Karenai's gaze shifted toward Malik. "You trust her." "She's family," he said simply. Karenai seemed to consider that. "Family, that means chosen connection?" "Something like that," Malik said. "Sometimes it's blood. Sometimes it's just loyalty." Karenai nodded slowly. "My people call that Russian. It is the bond between two beings who share energy. When one feels pain, the other knows." Tasha looked up from the table. "Sounds a lot like y'all already got that going on." Malik blinked. "What do you mean?" Tasha pointed at him. "Every time her pulse spikes, yours does too. You've been glowing, Malik." He turned toward Karenai, startled. "What's she talking about?" Karenai stepped closer, the air between them humming faintly. "You feel it too, don't you? When I'm afraid, when I weaken." Malik hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, like a static under my skin. Thought I was imagining it. It is real, she said softly. The bond deepens when two souls align through intent. You offered warmth not out of duty but care. Now our energies echo. Malik exhaled, running a hand through his hair. So what, we're psychically linked now? In a way, Karenai said. If I fall, you will feel it. If you fall, I will too. Tasha leaned against the workbench, shaking her head. That's wild. You better hope she don't catch a cold. Malik shot her a look, but couldn't help a small laugh. The tension in the room loosened for the first time all night. Still, he couldn't ignore the weight of what she'd said. A bond like that wasn't something you could just walk away from. Karenai's voice softened. You think it's strange, but it is sacred. My people believe shared pain brings balance. It teaches compassion. Compassion don't usually come with a side of existential panic, Malik muttered, though his tone carried no bite. You fear what you cannot control, she said gently. That is human. He stared at her for a long moment. You talk like you studied us. I did, Karenai replied, before I escaped. Humans create beauty, even in despair. You destroy, but you also rebuild. You lose, but still love. That is why I ran to your world. Her words caught him off guard. He looked down, suddenly self-conscious. You give us too much credit. No, she said, not enough. Tasha clapped her hands once, breaking the heavy silence. All right, lovers of philosophy, let's get back to business. Malik, hand me that converter. Karenai, hold still, this won't hurt. As Tasha adjusted the device against Karenai's arm, Malik felt a pulse run through his chest, like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Karenai's eyes glowed faintly, her breath steady. For a brief moment he saw flashes that weren't memories, a world of silver oceans, twin moons, and people who sang instead of speaking. He stumbled back, gasping. What was that? Karenai looked at him with quiet understanding. You saw through me. Malik's voice was barely a whisper. Then you saw through me too. Yes, she said. And now, Malik Carter, our fates are woven tighter than before. The hum in the workshop deepened, as if the walls themselves had felt it. Outside, the wind shifted. Something unseen was drawing closer. The night stretched long and heavy, the hum of the machines filling the silence that words couldn't reach. Tasha had gone quiet, lost in her calculations, screens flickering around her like constellations. Malik leaned against the wall, eyes half focused on the door, his mind replaying what Karenai had said. If I fall, you will too. That thought hadn't left him since. Karenai stood near the window, her gaze locked on the horizon. Her glow had dimmed to a faint ember, but her presence filled the room like gravity. Malik could feel her emotions pressing faintly against his own, fear wrapped in resolve. It made his chest ache. You can feel me, can't you? She asked softly, without turning. He hesitated. Yeah, like a whisper that ain't mine. Karenai nodded. Our energies are aligned now. What touches one, echoes in the other. Malik managed a dry laugh. Guess that means no secrets between us, huh? There is still much you do not know, she said. Before he could ask what she meant, Tasha cursed under her breath. Powers fluctuating. Someone's pinging the outer grid. Malik straightened. You mean they're here? Tasha slammed a fist on the console. Not yet, but close. I'm seeing scans from the airfield 10 miles out. Looks military grade. Karenai's eyes flashed gold. They have found the trail again. Malik's pulse spiked. He grabbed his jacket. Then we're moving. Hold up, Tasha said sharply. You can't just outrun them forever. These people got drones, trackers, maybe even satellites in orbit. You need a plan. I got one, Malik said, already heading for the door. Don't die. Tasha sighed, pulling a wrench from her belt. You always been reckless, but damn if you ain't predictable. Malik turned to her. You coming? Tasha looked at Karenai, then at him. Hell no, someone's got to wipe your trail when you're gone. She tossed him a small device. EMP pulse. 1 shot. Fries any tracker in a 50-yard radius. Use it smart. Malik caught it. Thanks, Tash. Don't thank me, she said. Just come back. Karenai approached her slowly, placing a hand over her heart, a gesture that carried quiet dignity. Your loyalty shines bright. You honor your blood. Tasha blinked, caught off guard, then gave a small nod. Take care of my fool cousin. Karenai turned to Malik. Ready? He looked around one last time, the workshop, the music, the warmth, and then at Karenai. Yeah, let's go. They slipped outside into the night. The rain had stopped, but the air buzzed with static, heavy and electric. Malik's hover truck sat waiting, patched and humming after Tasha's quick repairs. As soon as they climbed in, Karenai pressed her hand against the dashboard, her energy fusing with the circuits. The truck's lights flared brighter, the thrusters humming smoother than ever. Did you just supercharge my ride? Malik asked. I harmonized with its core, Karenai said. Machines respond to resonance just like hearts. Remind me to put that on a t-shirt, he muttered, pushing the throttle. The truck lifted off the ground, gliding low across the dirt road. Malik steered toward the open highway, wind slicing against the windshield. The hum of the engine matched the pulse in his chest, his pulse, her pulse, the same rhythm now. In the distance, a blue light cut through the clouds. Karenai tensed. They are close. Malik saw it too. Two sleek black crafts descending fast, their engines whispering instead of roaring. Government or something worse, he couldn't tell. He gripped the EMP device tighter. How long till we're clear of the scan zone? Karenai closed her eyes briefly. 3, maybe 4 minutes. Then hold on. He slammed the accelerator. The truck shot forward, the thrusters screaming. Beams of pale light swept across the highway behind them, hunting. Malik swerved hard, barely missing a burst of plasma that scorched the road. Malik, Karenai shouted. I see it. He flipped the switch on the EMP and tossed the device out the window. It exploded mid-air in a burst of white light. The hum of the pursuers faltered, their crafts flickering like dying fireflies before vanishing into the storm's edge. Silence followed. Malik exhaled shakily. That actually worked. Karenai's eyes glowed softly again, her voice tender. You are full of chaos, Malik Carter, but it is a beautiful chaos. He chuckled, heart still pounding. Now you should see me on a good day. But even as he joked, a part of him knew the chase wasn't over. The lights behind them might be gone for now, but the sky still carried the echo of something vast and watching. Karenai turned to him, her voice a whisper. They will not stop. I know, Malik said, gripping the wheel. That's what worries me. The hover truck glided across a stretch of cracked road, the storm far behind them now, though its weight still clung to Malik's chest like wet cloth. Karenai sat beside him, her breathing steady but shallow, her skin dimming once again. The burst of energy she'd used to mask them had left her depleted. You good? Malik asked, trying to keep his voice even. I will recover, she said softly, but each time I cloak us it takes more. There is less of me left. Malik didn't answer. Instead, he looked ahead to the flickering lights on the horizon. An old checkpoint, unmanned during off-hours, but tonight the towers glowed red. That meant surveillance, scanners, possibly more of those agents. Karenai followed his gaze. Can we go around? Not unless we cut through the ridgeline, Malik said. That'll fry the hover coils, and we can't risk getting grounded out here. She closed her eyes. Then we must pass through unseen. Malik tapped the steering wheel, thinking. I got an idea, but it's dumb. Karenai opened one eye. All your ideas are. He smirked. You're learning fast. He veered off the road into the shoulder, pulling into the shadows of a run-down barn. He popped the trunk, digging through tangled wires, tools, and... there. A pair of beat-up speakers and his old tablet. Music? Karenai asked. Not just music, Malik said, hooking everything up. Noise, distraction. These scanners are tuned to heat and motion, but they lag on sound. It'll confuse their timing just enough for us to slip through. She watched as he worked. You are using art as a weapon. Nah, he said with a grin. Art is the weapon. Within minutes, he'd mounted the speakers on the roof, rigged the tablet to loop one of his unfinished tracks, a fusion of jazz, trap, and something ambient, a rhythm that undulated like breath. He looked at her. This works, you owe me a remix. Karenai nodded solemnly. It would be an honor. They re-entered the road slowly. The checkpoint loomed closer. Lights scanned in rigid patterns, drones hovering above like watching eyes. Malik activated the track. Sound burst into the air, not loud but thick, waves of syncopated rhythm rippling through the space around them. The truck's signature flickered on the scanners. Lights twitched. A drone veered off course. Karenai pressed a hand to the dashboard, syncing her pulse with the beat. The air shimmered around them. They passed through the first gate unnoticed. Malik exhaled. It's working. Halfway through the second gate, one of the towers reactivated. A siren began to chirp. Red light scanned their direction. Karenai gasped, her hand tightening. I cannot hold it. Malik didn't hesitate. He slammed the throttle, the truck lurching forward. Music distorted into a roar. Lights flared. The scanners overloaded just as they crossed the final barrier. Then silence. No alarms. No pursuit. Just the hum of their truck and the tail end of his beat echoing into the night. Karenai collapsed back in her seat, breathing hard. That was dangerous. Yeah, Malik said, grinning, but kinda beautiful too, right? She gave a weak smile. You create from chaos. That is your nature. He looked ahead at the open road. Ain't got much else to work with. A few minutes passed in silence before she spoke again, more serious now. You understand what you've done, don't you? Malik glanced at her. Helped somebody who needed help? No, she said. You've declared yourself. You are part of this now. They will see you as one of us. He nodded slowly. Let 'em come. Why? She asked. He didn't answer at first. Then, with a quiet conviction, because I know what it's like to run and have nobody stand up for you. I ain't about to be that kind of person. Karenai stared at him, eyes glistening faintly. You've paid the price of kindness. Yeah, he said, and I'd do it again. Far behind them, in the dark sky, another flicker of blue light appeared, too small to notice if you weren't looking, but it was there, and it was coming. The road ahead was empty, carved between dark fields that shimmered with morning dew. Malik slowed the hover truck and pulled onto a grassy patch overlooking a shallow valley. The sky above was shifting from black to a soft indigo, stars blinking out one by one. Karenai hadn't spoken in nearly 20 minutes. Her eyes were half closed, her glow barely visible. You need rest, Malik said, turning off the engine. She nodded faintly. Energy low but not gone. He stepped out, breathing in the cool air. The silence was a rare kind, peaceful, not loaded with threat. Just the chirp of insects, the slow hum of wind through the trees. For the first time in days, it felt like the world had paused. Malik walked a few paces away, pulled a blanket from the back seat and spread it over Karenai's shoulders. Then he leaned against the front of the truck, looking up. My grandma used to bring me out places like this, he said quietly. Back before everything got built up, she'd say, look up, Malik, that sky got stories older than any government. Karenai opened her eyes. She was right. She always was. He smiled to himself. Said stars ain't just fireballs out in space. Said they're memory, light from the past, still traveling to reach us. Karenai sat up a little. We believe something similar. My people say the stars are the souls of ancestors, watching, guiding, judging. I like that better, Malik said. Makes the night less lonely. She tilted her head. Do you feel lonely often? He took a long pause. Yeah, even when I ain't alone. Karenai studied him, then said, Your energy carries sorrow, but also strength, a deep root. My folks been rooted in this land a long time, Malik said. Even when they weren't treated like they belonged. We learned to grow anyway, music, faith, family. We made something out of nothing. That's the root. Karenai touched her chest. That's why I came to Earth. Your people. They understand survival in ways others do not. Malik turned toward her. My people been running from hunters a long time, just ain't always had the means to fight back. She looked away, her voice softer. I never meant to bring danger to your life. You didn't, he said. Danger was already there. You just gave me a reason to stop dodging it. They sat in silence again, letting the quiet speak what words couldn't. After a while, Karenai asked, What did your grandmother teach you? Malik smiled, the memory vivid. She used to say, Being kind in a cruel world is how you fight back. Don't let the world change your heart. Make your heart change the world. Karenai closed her eyes. That is powerful. It's truth, he said. She turned her head toward him. You are not just helping me, you are shaping what comes next. He chuckled lightly. That's a lot of pressure for a gas station clerk. No, she said. That's a lot of faith, and you've earned it. The sky lightened further, a warm orange spilling across the horizon. Birds began to stir in the trees, singing as if the world hadn't almost ended the night before. Karenai whispered, You said stars are memory. Then let this moment be a star. Malik looked at her. It already is. He didn't know what the next hour would bring, whether the peace would last or if the next pursuit was already in motion. But here, under the fading night and rising sun, Malik felt something rare, not just purpose, belonging, and somewhere in the back of his mind, in that invisible thread between them, he felt her warmth echo through him. Not just survival, not just escape, hope. By midday, the sun burned high, casting long shadows over the cracked hills of northern Alabama. The hover truck crawled through an overgrown path, branches scraping against its sides. Malik kept one hand on the wheel and the other tapping a beat on the dashboard, more to steady his nerves than anything else. We're close, he said. Karenai didn't respond at first. She sat with her head leaned back, her eyes closed, her breathing shallow but steady. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely more than a whisper. I feel them. Waiting. Malik glanced at her. Your people. She nodded once. A relay point. Safe. For now. The path opened suddenly, revealing an old observatory on a ridge, its massive dish cracked and tilted, covered in moss and rust. But the closer they got, the more Malik noticed signs of life. New metal panels fitted onto the ruins, lights embedded in the rock, faint pulses of energy running beneath the surface. As the truck came to a stop, Karenai's glow pulsed once, brighter than it had been all morning. They are here. Malik climbed out slowly, scanning the area. The air was still. Too still. Are you sure this place is safe? Safe is temporary, she replied, stepping out beside him. A soft chime rang from the tree line, and 3 figures emerged, tall, robed, moving with a grace that didn't seem natural. Their skin shimmered like hers, though their eyes burned a constant deep indigo. One of them, a woman, stepped forward. Karenai, she said, in a language Malik couldn't understand. Karenai responded, her tone formal but heavy with emotion. Malik stood awkwardly, unsure whether to stay or retreat. The woman turned to him, tilting her head. You are the one, she said in English, voice melodic but firm. The one who shared warmth. Yeah, Malik said. That'd be me. You carry the bond. You have suffered. He nodded slowly. Still here, though? The woman studied him for a long moment. Then you have earned the right to witness what comes next. Before he could ask what that meant, Karenai stumbled. Her knees buckled. Malik rushed to catch her, lowering her gently to the ground. She's burning up, he said. What's happening? The woman crouched beside them, her hands hovering over Karenai's chest. The connection has deepened beyond what her body can sustain. She gave too much to protect you. The resonance drains her now. Malik's jaw clenched. So what do we do? There is a way, the woman said, but it comes at a cost. Malik looked between them. What kind of cost? To sever the bond, she must return the energy she took, give it back to you. But the exchange is dangerous. It could kill you both or set you free. Karenai's voice cracked through her pain. No, I will not harm him. Malik grabbed her hand. You're not harming me. You saved me, more than once. "Malik," she whispered, her glow flickering like a dying ember. "I got into this because I chose to," he said, voice tight. "I'm choosing this now. If it saves you, I'll take that risk." She looked up at him, tears welling in her eyes, strange, luminous, beautiful. "You saw me when no one else did. I will never forget." The woman nodded once. "Then we begin." She placed her hand over Karenai's chest, guiding the pulse of light. Karenai's fingers tightened around Malik's, and for a moment everything went still. Then a surge. Malik felt himself pulled inward, past memory, past fear, into Karenai's essence, her world, her pain, her hope, and then release. Everything faded to white. Malik's eyes shot open as if pulled from a deep current. His chest rose violently, gasping for breath. He was on the ground, skin damp with sweat, heart thundering in his ears. The ridge above the observatory crackled with energy, arcs of light flashing like lightning without thunder. Karenai lay next to him, unmoving. Her skin no longer glowed. "No, no, no." Malik crawled to her, cradling her head in his arms. "Come on. Come back." He didn't know if she could hear him, couldn't feel the bond anymore. The Oshinari woman who led the ritual stood nearby, solemn. "The bond is broken. The energy has returned to you. She gave everything." Malik's hands trembled. "You said this would free us, not kill her." "She chose you over herself," the woman said. "That was her final gift." A deep rumble shook the earth before he could answer. It came from the sky, low, guttural, and wrong, the kind of sound that announced power. From above the trees, 3 dark crafts descended, sleek, silent, and black as void. "They found us," the woman said. "The hunters." Malik lowered Karenai gently and stood, fists clenched. "Then let's make sure they don't leave." "You are human," she said. "You cannot fight them." Malik walked to the hover truck, popped the side panel, and yanked out the custom speaker rig he'd built. Maybe not their way, but I got mine. The crafts hovered lower, searchlights ignited, scanning the terrain. Voices echoed through digital loudspeakers. "You are harboring a fugitive. Surrender immediately, and no harm will come." Malik dragged the rig to the center of the clearing. He tapped the tablet screen, fingers flying over controls. "I'm done running." "You said she gave everything." "Yes," the woman said. "Why?" "Then I'm going to show them what I do with a gift." He hit play. The sound that erupted wasn't just music. It was vibration, fury, rhythm, carved out of defiance. It thundered through the ground, made the trees tremble. Malik stepped into the open as the craft's spotlight locked on him. The Oshinari behind him lifted their hands in unison, their robes flaring as if catching wind that wasn't there. Their bodies began to hum, voices rising in layered tones, harmonizing with Malik's beat. Something ancient awakened. The air split. One of the crafts veered violently, unable to recalibrate. Its systems glitched under the wave of alien-human resonance. Malik kept walking. "You wanted her? You came here thinking she was weak," he shouted now, heart on fire. "She ain't weak. She chose love. That's the power you can't touch." The second craft fired a pulse round, but before it reached him, an Oshinari raised her arm, redirecting the blast into the sky with a burst of radiant light. Malik pressed deeper into the song, his voice now layered over the track, a freestyle rising from soul. "You don't own us, can't clone us. We born from stars and struggle. Our roots run deep, our rhythms fire. Ain't no cage strong enough to muzzle." The final craft tilted, shuddered, then tore away into the sky, retreating. The music faded. The clearing stood silent. Malik turned back toward Karenai, collapsing to his knees beside her. "Please," he whispered, "please come back." A flicker, just under her collarbone, a tiny glow. Her eyes fluttered open, soft and unfocused. "Malik?" He laughed, broken and joyful. "Yeah, I'm here." Karenai touched his chest weakly. "It's quiet now. I can't feel you." He nodded. "The bond's gone, but I'm still here. She ain't going nowhere. She closed her eyes again, not from pain, just rest. Malik looked up, tears in his eyes, as dawn broke fully over the ridge. The storm had passed, but something greater had begun. The observatory lay quiet. The dust from the confrontation had settled into the cracked earth, and the sky above shimmered with a calm that felt unnatural after so much noise. Malik sat next to Karenai beneath the shade of the ruined dish, watching the slow rise and fall of her chest. The Oshinari moved around them, silent and deliberate, tending to each other, repairing tech, whispering things Malik couldn't understand. Yet none of them came close. This moment, it seemed, belonged to him and her. "She's stable now," the lead woman said finally, "but she will need time." The severing took more than expected. Malik didn't take his eyes off Karenai. "She's alive, that's what matters." The woman knelt beside him. "You do not understand what you've done." "Then explain it," he said, his voice steady. "You held her soul in balance," she said. "Your bond was unnatural, but it became sacred. When she gave it back, you absorbed part of her essence." Malik blinked. "So, what? I'm part alien now?" "Not in flesh, in spirit. You have seen her world. You have carried her pain. That cannot be undone." He looked down at his hands. They didn't glow, didn't tremble, but something inside did feel different, as if something deep and wordless had taken root. "She said the bond was gone," he murmured. "It is," the woman replied. "But what remains is yours alone." Karenai stirred. Malik was at her side in a second. She opened her eyes, soft, grey, human almost, and looked at him like she was seeing him for the first time. "I thought I was gone," she whispered. "You were," Malik said, "but you found your way back." "I followed your warmth," she said. "Even without the bond, it called to me." He smiled, barely holding it together. "Guess coffee really does change lives." She chuckled faintly, then winced. Malik reached out instinctively, but she raised her hand. "No, let me feel this. Pain reminds me I'm real." They sat in silence again, the wind sweeping gently through the broken beams above. Malik finally asked, "What happens now?" "You go with them?" Karenai looked toward the other Oshinari. "They are my people, my blood. But I have changed." "You're free now," Malik said. "You don't owe anyone." She turned to him, her gaze heavy with meaning. "I owe you." "No," he said firmly. "You don't. What we had, what we still got, it wasn't debt. It was choice." Her fingers brushed his. "Then let me choose this moment." "With you." The Oshinari leader approached once more. "They will return," she warned. "Not today, not tomorrow. But Earth is no longer hidden. The storm was only the beginning." Malik stood slowly. "Then we get ready. We build something better than what they expect." The woman studied him. "You speak as though you're one of us." He met her gaze. "Maybe I am." "Maybe I always was." She nodded once, then stepped back, giving them space. Karenai looked up at him. "You belong to yourself now." He knelt beside her. "Yeah, but I'd share it with you, if you asked." Tears welled in her eyes again. Not of sorrow, of something older, purer. "Then let's walk forward," she whispered. Together. The sun broke through the clouds above, casting golden light over the valley. Malik helped her to her feet. She leaned on him, weak but smiling. Around them the Oshinari sang, low, resonant, not in celebration, but remembrance. He didn't know what the future held, or what paths would come next, but as Karenai's fingers laced with his, Malik knew one truth for certain. This wasn't the end, just a new beginning. 3 weeks later, the world had gone quiet again, at least on the surface. Malik sat on the porch of Tasha's home, overlooking the red clay hills just outside the city. The air was thick with the scent of warm rain and blooming wildflowers. Crickets sang beneath the porch light, and somewhere in the distance a freight drone passed low across the sky, blinking blue against the dusk. He had healed, mostly. The headaches came and went. Sometimes when he closed his eyes, he could still feel the hum of Karenai's presence inside his chest, like a phantom heartbeat. Other times he missed it like an old song he couldn't quite remember the lyrics to. Tasha stepped out, holding 2 glasses of sweet tea. She handed him one and flopped into the chair beside him. "You ain't touched your keyboard in days," she said. "I've been thinking," Malik replied. "You? Dangerous habit." He gave her a sideways grin, then stared back out at the horizon. "How you ever feel like the world's still moving but you ain't caught up yet?" "All the time," she said. "But that's why we keep moving, so the world don't leave us behind." He took a sip of the tea, let it roll over his tongue. "I ain't the same, Tash. Not inside." "Since her," Tasha nodded. "How could you be?" "She gave me something. Not just the bond, hope." A different way to see all this. "Then do something with it," she said, nudging him with her elbow. "You always said music was your truth. Speak it." Malik glanced through the window at his makeshift studio. The tablet sat on the stand, powered on, blinking like it was waiting. He hadn't touched it since the observatory, but the words had been building inside him. That night, as cricket settled and the moon rose, Malik sat before the screen and began to compose. Not just beats this time, but textures, voices, layers of rhythm that mirrored what he'd felt inside Karenai's world, sounds that bled between earth and stars. He sampled her last words to him, her voice whispering, "Then let's walk forward, together." He looped it under a melody of slow jazz chords and ancestral drums, let the story unfold in sound. By morning, he uploaded the track under a new artist name, Starbound Carter. He didn't expect the reaction. Within a day, his inbox was full. Streams climbed. Blogs started speculating about the alien tones layered in his work. One music reviewer called it the birth of a new genre, Afro-galactic soul. Tasha beamed when she read the headlines. "Told you. You had something to say." Malik smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes all the way. "She should be here to hear it." "She is," Tasha said. "You carry her in every note." Later that week, a delivery drone dropped a small flat box at the front door. No sender, no ID, just his name, written in strange script he somehow understood. Inside was a glass vial. Inside the vial, a faint pulse of starlight swirled in a slow dance. Alongside it, a note. "Malik, for when you need warmth again. K." He stared at it for a long time, then clutched it to his chest. Out back, the kettle whistled. He poured himself a cup of coffee. The steam curled upward, soft and sweet in the morning light. He sat, cradling the cup, watching the sun rise. "Guess kindness really does travel faster than light," he murmured. And in the quiet that followed, as birds sang and wind danced through the trees, Malik Carter didn't feel alone. He felt infinite. The sun had barely lifted over the ridge when Malik stepped outside, coffee in hand, the sky above tinted in soft pinks and blues. Morning dew clung to the grass, and the air buzzed with life. For a long time he just stood there, letting the warmth from the mug seep into his palms, the steam curling into his face. This was how every morning started now. Quiet, peaceful, but never the same. Because every sunrise reminded him of another sun, the one Karenai had spoken of on her homeworld, the way it glowed pale violet through twin moons, the way it danced off oceans that sang in light. He hadn't seen it, not with his eyes, but he'd felt it, through her, and that memory lingered deeper than any dream. He sat on the porch steps, sipping slowly, watching the horizon. Behind him, the studio buzzed with soft activity. Messages came in daily now, other artists asking to collaborate, scientists inquiring about the harmonic structures in his songs, even a teacher from Nairobi who wanted to use his track in a classroom lesson on empathy. Malik didn't reply to most of them. He wasn't chasing fame, he'd never cared much for spotlight. He just wanted to keep telling stories. And somewhere in that silence, another story was still unfolding. He looked down at the small glass vial resting beside his mug. The starlight inside pulsed gently, like it was breathing. No bigger than his thumb, but every time he held it, something stirred in his chest. A connection, not the old bond, but a new kind of echo. Not constant, but there. And that was enough. Tasha emerged from the workshop, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "You up early again?" she said, flopping into the chair beside him. "Didn't sleep much." "Thinking?" "Always." She pointed at the vial. "That thing still glowing?" "Every morning," he said. "Same rhythm." She sipped her own drink. "I still don't get how it works." "Me neither," Malik replied. "But maybe it ain't meant to be understood." Tasha glanced at him. "You think she'll come back?" He looked down the road, past the hills, toward the horizon that never stopped changing. "Maybe, maybe not, but she ain't gone." "She said that bond was severed." "It was," he said, "but what we shared, who we became together, that's not something you can break." Tasha nodded slowly, then smiled. "You ever think all this started with you handing out a cup of coffee?" Malik chuckled. "Yeah, a cold night, one small kindness. Changed the whole damn universe." "Not the whole universe," Malik said, finishing the last sip. "Just mine." They sat in companionable silence for a while, the breeze playing with the edge of the porch roof. Then Malik stood, stretched his arms, and stepped back inside. The track he'd been working on still played in the background, a blend of string samples and soft alien resonance, layered with Karanai's voice, repeating in a dozen tones, "Belonging, belonging, belonging." He recorded the final lines of the piece in a whisper. "We loved without map. We ran without sky. We stood side by side and reached, together." The track faded. Outside, the second sun of the morning climbed higher, just a flare from a nearby weather satellite, catching the atmosphere at the perfect angle. But Malik smiled anyway, pretending. Pretending it was real. Pretending that somewhere Karanai looked up at her own sky, and smiled too. As the screen faded to black, Malik's voice returned, calm, warm, familiar. "If you felt something in this story, if it made you breathe a little deeper, think a little longer, don't forget to subscribe. More stories are waiting, and maybe, just maybe, one of them is yours."